All right, we're on to the cash flow, and honestly, there's not a lot that you guys will have to do on the cash flow. There are, as you can see, let me scroll down just a little bit here. Maybe I can scroll down a little. There's really only 4 rows that have the orange, and please don't mess with the white cells, but there's only 4 that have the orange, and of those, I think probably only 2 and maybe only 1 of those will require any work on your part. Let's start at the top. We've got additional inventory. If you see down below there, you should have, some of you, that are actually selling some goods or some services that actually have a cost of goods sold. You'll have stuff already on this line with cost of goods sold. And that is kind of an automatic replenishment of your inventory that you started with. As you sell it, kind of the cost of goods sold sort of is a method, at least in a bookkeeping sense, to keep track of that. And it doesn't reorder, obviously, but just kind of keeps track and says that we're replenishing our inventory. So I doubt many of you would use this. When you might, if you got over here to year 2 or year 3, if you were planning, and maybe even in the first year, if you were planning a big expansion of some sort, you might. If for some reason you were starting a business and the seasonality of it meant that January through August you weren't going to need much, but in September you might need a big bump up, you could add some inventory in there, and plug in a number. I want to add $5,000 worth of inventory. That's a possibility. For most of us, it's probably going to be unnecessary, right? For this type of a project. Okay. I'm going to skip down. We get down to dividends paid. There's nobody in the class that should have any dividends paid. Okay. Again, that would only be if you were a C Corp. I don't see anybody in here that has a business that would probably be a C Corp. That's not to say it couldn't be, but probably would not be, and thus probably wouldn't have any dividends paid. Then let's go up to owner's distribution. This, I fully expect everybody will have some owner's distribution. This is where you pay yourself. So instead of having payroll, that's why I said don't put any owner's payroll in there. And again, because that's really only with C corporations, generally speaking. But here's where you'd pay yourself, okay? And you might decide that you're going to pay yourself $500 a month. That's fine. It's kind of low. You might want to build up on that, right? Back when I was in banking, and they did SBA loans differently back then than they do now, we sent them in for some pre-approval by the SBA. But I'd get them sent back often if there wasn't a contingency made for owners' pay, for the owners to get paid. And they just simply send it back and say, hey, this isn't good. Somebody can't run a business without making some money, right? They have to pay themselves so they can buy groceries, pay their rent, et cetera, et cetera. And that's, of course, quite true. So you need to put something in there. Pay attention as you do, okay? You've got an ending cash balance and possibly this line of credit. You may have some down in there, okay? You may already have some line of credit that's building, okay? And we're going to have to discuss that, and you may have to make adjustments back on your sales, operating expenses, or payroll expenses because of that. But as you enter some money in here, or better yet, go ahead and enter, what you think. If you think you might want to take out $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever, that's fine. You can start small and grow it, right? And again, the easy way to do it, if I wanted to do $1,000 a month steady, I could put that in. I could just drag that down. Okay. Obviously that creates all kinds of weird stuff down here. Okay. And creates this line of credit balance that I said you may end up having. Okay. That's not totally unusual for a new business. Okay. For you to have a line of credit that kind of builds. Now, at the first few months, if it continues to build on into the 12th month, then we might have some problems, right? Okay. And so we just got to kind of analyze that a little bit and watch it. And again, it wouldn't be unusual. A business that's starting, do they, need a little advance, a little line of credit here and there? Yeah, that would be perfectly normal. Okay, no big deal. But it should start going away, right? Here, of course, I don't have any sales or anything like that, so I have an ending cash balance of zero. I wonder if I can go back. Let me just go back and see if I can put in some sales here of some sort. Sales per price per unit, I'll do $100. Cost of sales, I'll just do $20 just for the heck of it, and I'll do 1,000 of them. Yeah, that may be too many. Let's do 500 of them, and we'll see what happens there. Actually, that's probably going to be okay. Now I got a big positive balance here, right? I got an ending cash balance that's quite positive. Okay, what I need to do is go back. I'm going to pause for a minute and then kind of reset that and then walk you through it a little bit better. So hang on a second. Hopefully I can get this thing to work. Pause. Okay, so here I kind of input some numbers just to give you a rough idea what this might look like. So, I've got down here, line of credit drawdowns, net cash flow because I'm not selling enough, and you can see it kind of grows for those first few months, and then it evens out. But I start building some cash here, okay, and that wouldn't be unusual for a lot of you. It may not happen for you either, so that's fine if your sales and whatnot are generating enough right from the start. If that's what you're projecting, that may be perfectly fine. Okay, just don't be surprised if this does show up. Then the only other thing, so here's the one line that I need. Here's probably the only other line that I need, is that I might come along here and say, jeepers, about this month I really don't want to be paying any interest anymore on that line of credit. I've got enough money. Why don't I just pay that off? And so I'll come up here and I'll click. My line of credit balance is $1,013, so I'll just enter $1,013 into this line that says line of credit repayments. Hit my enter, and then that goes away thereafter, right? The only other thing on cash flow is check years 2 and 3. Again, probably no additional inventory. If you've got a justification for that, go ahead. Maybe put your justification in your notes or whatever when you submit it, so I know. Make sure you carry out the owner's distribution. Okay, it doesn't have to be the same amount. It'd be very normal for you to project an increase, right? Assuming everything's going good with your company and you're kind of watching down here to make sure you're not having any line of credit. Sometimes businesses, especially those that are seasonal, they might end up with some line of credit advances in the second year too for at least a month or two. So you might have to check and make sure that you pay those off then when you've accumulated enough cash to be able to do so. Okay, that should be it for the cash flow. So I think I'll stop that for now, and then we'll come back, and I think just got a couple statements left.